mentioned at dinner tonight that if a woman wins an Oscar tonight for Best Director, it will start such a ripple of influence that I think it would pave the way to our first woman president. That people would start saying, hey, if a woman can win Best Director, then a woman can win for president. And I know a lot of people are going to say, wow, that's a big step. Well, if you really look at culture, especially pop culture, when you start to see things like a black president on 24 and a woman president on Commander-in-Chief, you realize that these cultural influences gradually affect the culture. And I think that's great. I think that's a really powerful use of the medium of entertainment. And I guess that's why Dan Quayle got so mad about Murphy Brown back in the day, because he knew the influence that entertainment has on the culture as well. But it's interesting how the exact same culture flipped on him for criticizing them and may have actually ultimately finalized his inability to become president one day. But I think the influence of culture cannot be ignored when it comes to Christian culture as well. I think so much comes down to our example, so much comes down to how we represent, that we really need to look at the symbols and the rituals of our culture and challenge them and say, where did they come from? Are they in the Bible? Or what does the Bible actually say about such things and the like? And what should we be doing? And I was recently listening to a Deborah Harry CD, and it had a song on it called Communion. And it's actually a very beautiful song, a very well-crafted song, and it's got a good beat and you can dance to it. But I think that it was quite possibly sacrilegious, because she was saying about herself, take, eat, this is my body, do this in remembrance of me. Take, drink, this is my blood, do this in remembrance of me so you don't forget me. And then the verses had to do with her seducing a man. And I sat there and I'm like, this is like the prettiest song I've ever heard using the words of Christ in communion, and what a great gospel song this could become. And it was stuck in my head for about a week. And then today I read my Bible and I got to the Passover dinner in the upper room, where Jesus took bread and passed it around and said, everybody break off a piece of this bread. And he held up the piece of bread and he said, take, eat, this is my body that has been broken for you. Do this in remembrance of me. And then he held up his glass of wine, and everyone mimicked him, and he said, take, drink, this is the blood of the new covenant. And I want you to stop and do these things when you eat and drink. And I read that and I went, well, this is kind of cool, because I've had this song stuck in my head for a week, and now I get to preach on the subject of communion. And I would like to say, for the purpose of those present, at the end of this, there will not be bread or matzah passed around, or wine or grape juice, for us all to partake in holy communion together, for the reason that I can't find that ritual in the Bible. Now, I have nothing against rituals, I have nothing against traditions, and I have nothing against Holy Communion, just for the record. So, if you take me to your church and you guys have communion, I'll be like, hot dang, I love this, this is fun. I also think it's fun to sit on the floor at a Japanese restaurant. I also think it's fun to eat with my hands at a Syrian restaurant, types of foods I would not ever eat in my real life. That does not mean that it's in the Bible to do so. It does not mean that it's anti-Bible to participate in such fun rituals. Now, Jesus said, "Take, eat, for this is my body that has been broken." He had referred to himself as the bread of life. He had referred to himself as the mainstay, as a staple. That you live on bread, and I am your spiritual bread. And he broke the bread to show everyone that he was going to be broken for them, that they would have a visual reminder. And he had them consume him so they understood the depth and the gravity of what he was doing, but also what it meant to receive him. That they would actually be consuming him, that he would actually be becoming them and flowing through their blood system. Okay? And the same thing with the wine. Back in Moses' time, the Bible states that life is in the blood. And so the people of God always understood the value and importance of blood. That blood was always something that was not consumed, but it was something that was offered to God as sacrifice and atonement for sin. Jesus was saying, now I want you to consume the blood. I want you to internalize this. Because it's my blood. And this is the blood you need flowing through you. Not dead animals, but me. But me. That was what Jesus did when he raised the bread and raised the wine in what we have turned into Holy Communion. That's what he did. And when he said, "Do this in remembrance of me," he did not say, at church. See, we have to be very careful about that ripple of influence. I think it's great that a woman director is finally going to win an Academy Award. And I think that it would be really exciting in my lifetime to see a woman president in this country. For whatever good or whatever bad could come out of it, I'd like to see what it's like. I'd like to see it. If it's ever going to happen, I want it to happen in my lifetime. And I think there is a connection between what happens here and what happens here if it causes people to think and it affects the way they look at things. And I think we have to be careful with our rituals. Recently, a teenager asked me about if Jews say grace. And I said, well, I don't even know what saying grace actually means, because it's a term that we have applied to an action that in the Bible is called giving thanks. Or, in my opinion, it's actually an act of giving thanks in remembrance of what Jesus did for us. I'll get to that. But